Okay, now this is a very, very simple question. Do I have a right to see my son's daily schoolwork? Okay, number one, be very careful with the wording you use. Now, I know what you're trying to say. I know what you said, but I'm putting this out there for everybody in verbiage land. Okay, be very, very, very mindful of the words that you choose because the word right in this country um, mean very specific things. Okay, we have rights to speech. We have rights to freedom of religion. Those are constitutional rights. Okay, um, that's different than and I guess you could say that under IDEA, your child has a right to a free, appropriate public education. But even in that regard, that right is not even the same as the right you have as far as your constitutional rights, because the government can't give you those rights. Those rights are yours by birth, all right? Acknowledged by government that they can't diminish it, they can't take it away, they can't impede upon it. So those rights, with regards to those contained in your Bill of Rights, are those things you're born with, what we call natural rights. Now, at that point, the government can create legislation that gives you government created rights. All right. And at that point, that's like the IDEA, Americans with Disabilities Act 504. Those are granted rights, I guess you could say, which means that the government can also take them away. Now, do I necessarily agree with that? No, I don't. But I'm just saying that if they decided to get rid of the IDEA or get rid of the ADA, then those rights would, vanish. Um, I'm not saying that that ever would happen. I'm just saying that there's a difference between your natural rights or your constitutional rights in your Bill of Rights and those created through acts of Congress. Okay? And so in this particular situation, when you say, do I have a right to look at my son's schoolwork? What I'm cautioning parents is don't use those words with your government school. Why is that? Because what you don't want to do is you never want to use the word right with your government school, because at that point you have a bunch of people that are clothed with naked power that, are not that smart when it comes to understanding all the nuances. You have some bad leaders out there too, and they'll sit there and say, no, you don't have a right. And there's a lot of people out there that they'll go, oh, assuming that the information they're getting from the government is correct, or the government representative in the form of a teacher, an administrator, a principal, whatever, is telling them correct information. And a lot of people will sit there and say, well, they work for the government, so therefore they must be correct and they must be knowledgeable. No, no. In fact, I would take most of what you hear with a heavy grain of salt, simply because there are no requirements within the majority of the states, at least all of the ones that I practice in, to where there's no requirement for teachers or administrators to be competent in this law or competent in FERPA, which is the Federal Education Records Protection Act. Okay, so with regards to your son's schoolwork, that would be considered an education record, right? Because it's personally identifiable to your child. Now, under FERPA, which is also contained inside the IDEA, you have a right to review and inspect your child's education record. Now, you do have a right because it's being carved out by government. So yes, technically you do have a right, but I wouldn't, because what it does is it creates this power imbalance to where you feel like you have to ask permission, from the government in order to exercise these rights, and don't. So you don't sit there and say it in the form of a question. You go in there and you say it confidently. Look, guys, under FERPA, this is personally identifiable information with regards to my son's schoolwork. So therefore, it's an education record, or it can be part of an education record. Therefore, I need to see it because I have, under FERPA, I have the ability to review and inspect my child's education record. Now, in order for my child to receive a free appropriate public education, I am a valuable member of my child's IEP team. And because I'm a valuable member of my child's IEP team, I need to be able to understand what it is that my child is working on so that I can help as an IEP team member and as a parent in helping my child generalize and master these concepts outside of the school setting. So therefore, I need to see the schoolwork. We need a good communication log so that I understand exactly what's going on and the expectations so that I can be a partner with the school. That's how I would frame it. But yes, the answer is hell yes, you have a right to review and inspect your child's daily work because it's personally identifiable to your child and therefore part of your child's education record. But like I said, be very mindful in how you're using the word rights, though, and understand that there's varying degrees. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to catch yourself in this situation to where you create this power imbalance with government to where it feels like to them that they have this upper hand on you to determine whether or not you have rights. All right. But I am helping you, empowering you in the correct way to explain it. Therefore, go out and use it.